Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We are here from our HBCU Matters Foundation and the My HBCU Matters Company. My name is Brandon Graham, and I'm the CEO and founder of the organization. And we're so excited today to continue amplifying voices and to bring a new voice to our series, Miss Rashele Dudley of State Street. And so we're so excited to be collaborating and partnering with State Street and Invesco for the upcoming My HBCU Matters Summit that will be here in Atlanta from November 5th through the 7th, where we will be doing professional development, personal development, doing mock interviews with scholars and alumni. And this will be a great opportunity for us to corral and communicate as a community. But Rashele, please let us know, who are you? Who is State Street? What do you do? And what does State Street do?
All right. Well, good afternoon, Brandon, and good afternoon, everyone. And first, my name is Rashele Dudley, and I do work at State Street, but I want to give a shout out to all the HBCUs because it is homecoming season, and there are a lot of homecomings going on. My homecoming is actually this weekend, but I won't be attending. So happy homecoming, everyone. As Brandon mentioned, I am Rashele Dudley, Vice President of Alpha Business Risk and Controls at State Street. And a lot of people always say, what is State Street, right? Sometimes they'll hear State Street Corp, State Street Bank and Trust, but State Street is a global financial services company. And we're actually one of the second oldest banks in the U.S. We were founded in 1792. We have over 40,000 employees globally. And part of what we actually do is we are considered a custodial bank, a custodian bank, where we specialize in financial services, where we provide financial institutions where we provide security services to clients. So what that means, right, is a lot of people think of your regular traditional banking institutions, right? State Street is not that. We don't lend money, mortgages, do any money transaction. We actually provide services to a lot of our asset management companies. So again, we're one of the largest asset companies in the world. We have over 3.9 trillion under management and 43.3 trillion under custody and administration. I work in the State Street Alpha division. And what that means is our division, we are the first to provide a front to back asset servicing platform to our clients, meaning that we're a single user, right? A single platform. So companies don't have to go out to multiple companies to get a front to back solution. They can get that right at State Street within my organization.
Awesome. Sounds like you all are very busy over at State Street, doing a lot of great work. And so, Rashele, can you provide us a bit more detail of how your duties and responsibilities and your title propels the organization and impacts the daily accomplishments?
Okay, so another thing I want to add is I've been at State Street for 7 years, and I've been able to see the evolution of the services that we provide within my organization. And like I said, Alpha is the new model of State Street to be able to give our clients that one platform. My role within that organization is I manage 2 teams. One team is where we do contract and fee schedule compliance. State Street is regulated, so there are a lot of structural things that we have to stay within when we go out and sell to our clients. So my team ensures that we stay within those refines of those standards, so that our regulators don't come back and say, what are you guys over there doing? And then the other part of my team, we are responsible for AML, the anti-money laundering and know your clients, KYC piece, to do all those screenings on our clients. So again, we know who we're going into business with within our organization. I also wear another hat. I co-chair our Black Professionals group at State Street. So that keeps me busy as well. We have over 500 members within our employee network, but we also have roughly, I would say, 8 who are leads of our committees within the Black Professionals Group. So it's a lot of work trying to juggle my day to day and being there for the Black professionals at State Street.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Rashele, already just hearing the great work that you've been doing, you have definitely been setting a standard for HBCU grads to necessarily be able to emulate and look toward in working in your industry and space. And that lends us to our next question. What is your My HBCU Matters story? And so how did you choose A&T? How did this come about? And what's the level of pride that you have for your organization, for your institution, rather?
Well, of course, I have to start out and say Aggie Pride to all of my Aggies who are joining us today. I, I know I look young, right? But I was in college back in the late 90s, right? And I feel like back then HBCUs, people knew about them, but the culture of it now, the essence of it that we hear about it, I feel that energy now, which was a little different when I went to a predominantly white high school. And those years there, nothing catered to me, my friends, but what we enjoyed. And so there were a lot of racial things that were happening at my high school too. And my best friend, she went to A&T. And I remember, my parents were like, "Oh, well, go for your spring break," right? So I went there for spring break, and I was like, this is what I was missing. Like, this is what I am missing in high school. And I just loved it, right? Where everything catered to me, right? We talk about being your authentic self. At that time, I could go there, be my authentic self. Everybody understood it. They looked like me. And A&T actually was the only university that I applied for. Yeah, I made my mind up that this is where I'm going. This is the experience that I want, and that was my journey there.
Nice, nice. So that those few moments of having an immersive experience on the HBCU campus sealed the deal for you, and that's a very unique story because not a lot of students only apply for one institution. And so that meant that you had definitely set a certain aspect of imagery and goal setting for yourself to know that A&T was the right place. And I think that also ties back into, what is the importance of HBCUs? I know some folks are still learning that historically Black colleges and universities exist, but from your frame of view, why do our HBCUs matter?
So I think for me, I was intentional about it, right? Because prior to that, going to a HBCU, I don't even think that was on my radar, right? I knew that college was, but picking a HBCU, I, that wasn't my agenda at the time,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
It was just to go to college. But like I said, because of everything that led up to that, is what made me be intentional about. I want to go somewhere where I will see people that look like me. I can experience the things that I know, and I think it's important now, especially being through my years of corporate America, right? Not seeing a lot of people that look like me,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of the students now, you're going to get to corporate America and not see a lot of people that look like you. You have to teeter the fence sometimes, right? You always have to know your culture, other cultures, right? It's like a melting pot. And sometimes I think we lose that identity in corporate
Mhm.
America.
Mhm.
But going to a HBCU, you get all of that, right? And it
Right.
is a reminder in your day to day that there are a lot of people that look like me out there who are educated, um, who are professionals, right? And even though I don't see them, I know they exist, right? And you have that network of people that they're out there, they're supporting you. Um, and again, it's just that experience that you can hold on to
Mhm.
um, for the rest of your life.
That's awesome. And even to your point earlier about the work that you have been doing in terms of advancing diversity, equity, inclusion at State Street. And so, how is State Street creating social impact and advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion?
So one of the things I also want to mention is that State Street is headquartered in Boston, right? So when we think about New England, a lot of people are like, who wants to go to the cold? Who wants to live in New England, right? And I was born and raised in the South. So I saw a lot of diversity there versus what I saw in New England. And so when George Floyd happened, I think that was a wake up call for a lot of people in corporate America to say, hey, there may be something happening here, right? That we're not aware of. And so our CEO at the time sent out this heartfelt email acknowledging the pain and suffering that some of us have. Oh, Brandon, did I lose you? I can't see Brandon. Yeah, dropped out. Okay, so I think we've lost Brandon, so we'll wait for him to come back. But I'll just continue with the story about the impact that State Street has had. So as I was saying, when George Floyd happened, our CEO sent out a heartfelt email acknowledging the pain and suffering that employees were feeling, right? And in that email, he asked the question, what must we do? Because State Street is a firm that we're known for problem solvers, and we pride ourselves on developing solutions for our clients. So he posed a question back to us to say, as a firm, we need to begin to answer the question, what must we do for our colleagues, our clients, and our communities? And so out of that, State Street formed what we call 10 actions against racism and inequality. And I won't go into all 10, but I'll just talk about 4 that are important to me that I want to share with everyone. And the top one is representation, meaning we are committed to ensuring that at our SVP, EVP levels, that we see individuals that look like us there. So there is we're trying to get more representation in State Street. Next is diverse suppliers, ensuring that we have those connections with our diverse suppliers, that we are giving money back into the community that way and giving those opportunities to suppliers in State Street. Board representation, that's a big one, to make sure that we have board members that reflect and look like us. And then the 4th one is just the civic engagement piece. And part of the civic engagement, what State Street does is we take our money and we put that in the community to support initiatives and nonprofit organizations who are looking to give back to the Black and Brown communities. So one of the foundations that State Street supports is the new Commonwealth Racial Equality and Social Justice Forum. And Brandon's back.
My apologies. We had some things just kind of went frozen for a minute, so we were trying to make sure that we were able to get back in.
Okay.
And I greatly appreciate you for leading the way, Rashele, with that. And so I know, to the standpoint you were talking about the level of social impact that State Street has been making, the intentional work that you've been doing with the Black Employee Resource Group. And so in that work, how do you see mentoring young Black professionals that are coming into the organization and looking to find their way? What does that work look like?
Good question. So within the Black Professionals Group, we have created what we call mentoring circles. And what that is we're taking some of our junior employees and partnering them with our senior Black leaders within State Street. So these circles could be between 5 to 6 State Street employees, where we just put them in these small circles so they can get to know each other and build those connections with our senior leaders in their rotation. So every 6 months, you get a new mentor that hopefully they build connections with. I think it's important for people to have mentors, especially the mentoring circles, because I just remember when I was junior in my career, there was a manager who advocated for me, and she taught me most of the things that I know now, right? To speak up for myself, to push me, to motivate me, right? So with the mentoring circles, we're hoping that people build those connections there, so they have someone to help them to navigate corporate America, because it can be tough, right? And you're going to need support at any level, right? Support of your peers, and again, support of senior management as well.
Absolutely. And I know our scholars have had a chance to connect with the State Street team virtually. And I know one of the conversations that we've had is the difference between mentorship and sponsorship. And so, Rashele, can you speak a bit in terms of your journey, how those two have differed or how they have been cohesively worked together?
So for me, a mentor is someone that I can confide in, right? Who's going to give me true advice, advice I might not want to hear about the direction of my career, what I'm thinking. If there's a problem, a mentor should be the person that, again, that you can go to help navigate through any issues, experience, career moves that you want to make. Sponsorship is, you need someone who's actually going to be in a room when you're not in the room to advocate for you, and to help propel your career when you're not present, right? So I've had both, and I would say for me, the mentorship has been the best, right? Because again, I think a lot of times we look for other people to propel us. We wait for other people to tap us on the shoulder to say, hey, here's an opportunity. And sometimes we have to take that initiative ourselves, to not wait for others and to leap out on faith and do it, right? Like, if you want to be the next CEO, right, and no one's tapping you on the shoulder, well, what do I need to do to become that CEO, right? So you're going to need both, right? In a mentor and a sponsor, because
Awesome.
I think they're both going to give you different advice.
Mhm.
That's going to help you in your
Mhm.
career.
Absolutely. And with that aspect of mentorship and sponsorship, when you think back to your collegiate journey at A&T, what really grounded you and prepared you for the career and journey that you're having now? And so how did A&T's experience impact you overall to give you that level of groundedness to do the work that you're doing?
That's a tough question there, Brandon. I think A&T in any HBCU makes you just a better, stronger person to to know who you are as an individual, right? And to give you that confidence. So I think, you know, understanding myself, learning myself, seeing other individuals who are succeeding in life, right? That is what prepared me to say, this is what I want to do personally, right? Um, because I think in careers, your careers, they go up and down, right? And especially those first like 5 years, you really don't know what you want to do, right? In life, most of us just don't know what we want to do, like those first 5 years out of school. But you have to get that confidence. And I think A&T gave me that confidence as to what I needed to say, like, I know I can do and be anything that I want, right? It's just, I have to figure out what that is. And I go and get it, right? Because that's what Aggies do, right?
Yeah, She's starting something. Talking about these Aggies. Well, and man, I definitely, when we think about the communal conversations about, financial aid and these different aspects and the perspective of having to persevere, overcome, or having a very strict professor, that demanded a certain level of excellence from you. And I know in a number of those essence, that causes growth moments for a lot of us. And I think that's what the HBCU experience definitely dials down to, is that you have folks that are truly engaged and care and are there to support you in your educational journey, but also throughout life. Because we know, as we look at a number of institutions have such tenured professors that have been at the institution, and sometimes people say they came with the bricks, and they act as lighthouses for your journey throughout your careers, and also when you visit for homecoming, or having the opportunity to give back. And as we prepare for the My HBCU Matters Summit, and we engage with scholars, what is some advice that you would provide to them, Rashele, in terms of engaging with our partners, talking about their careers? What are a few things that they can make sure that they're hitting the mark on?
So sometimes I feel like people are afraid to
Mhm.
ask true, honest questions, right? The world is tough out here, right? It's not easy to get a job, to get an internship, and be honest about your journey, be honest with your struggles. And when you meet professionals, right, ask them for their true advice, to help you, right? I mean, you know this firsthand, especially with State Street, how we came in to help with, some of the Clark Atlanta students, and we just gave them advice, right? It was talk to me. Tell me what is it you want to know, because we're here to give you that true advice, to help you to get into corporate America, to help you get that job, right? And a lot of times we're very shy. We want to always show our best self, right? Like, I'm a 4.0 student. I have two majors, right? And it's like, yeah, those two majors are great, but what are you actually going to do with them? You know, and so again, just having conversations, ask people, like, how did you get to where you are? What do I need to do? This is where I'm struggling at. How do I overcome that? And because you'll be surprised when you just open up, the type of advice that you'll get, and you'll understand that other people have been through it too, and they'll tell you their journey, to help maybe alleviate some of the pain points that you may experience down the road.
I definitely agree with that. And when you bring up the moment about pain points, and this is an element that I always talk to the partners about, the students, is the work that we're doing is to remove the barriers and obstacles that the generations before us had to endure. It should feel a bit easier as we mentor and sponsor and assist, folks, no matter where they are in their journey. Because if we're propelling our community and the movement forward. And I think sometimes where that arc takes place is when we have first generations that are, going to college, going to grad school, and feeling a bit isolated in their experience. And to that notion that you just brought up earlier is not being afraid to communicate, to share some of your inner thoughts and questions that you have, and realizing that there are safe spaces for you able to connect and collaborate and have these conversations. And where my next question stems from is, how do we start having these dialogues and conversations outside of these mini events? How do we have some of these longevity conversations? Do we do it more so in the Black employee resource groups and connecting and creating more mentorship opportunities for some of our college students? And so in your mindset, Rashele, is that how do we fill some of these gaps that we're having from our professionals and our students, to be able to make this journey a bit easier?
Yeah, one thing that I notice or I hear a lot is we always tell the younger generation, oh, you need to go find a mentor. You need to go find a sponsor, right? You need to go do this, right? Think about when we were that age, right? We didn't know where to start. So I think we need to change the narrative of leaders being more strategic, more intentional about seeing those young students who potentially may need the help, right? And we're the ones saying, hey, let me be your mentor, let me be your sponsor. Because again, at a young age, sometimes it's frightening to walk up to someone who's like a CEO, right, or an exec of a company to say, hey, do you have time to talk, right? And I know a lot of us are busy in our work lives, our personal lives, right? But I think we need to take that on more, to reach out to the youth and be there for them, and to have safe spaces for them to come into, to be able to talk about issues that they're going through. So I wouldn't put it so much on them because they don't know, right? I would put it on the partnerships of the corporations, again, leaders within these partnerships, to go out and be there, to say, hey, I'm here if someone needs to talk to me, you have questions. So that's my advice that I would give on that.
And I appreciate that charge. I think that's an amazing point, and why we have cultivated our strategy for mock interviews for our scholars to get real feedback. And you've been through that process of a student coming in and being a bit nervous, or having interviewed and not gotten the opportunities, but not knowing the why. And so that next level of intentionality of asking folks to take their time to interview folks and to give them real-time feedback on their resumes and their interviews. And so that is the intentional work that I love about State Street, that you all are willing to get in the weeds to a certain extent, as we call it, and to lend a hand sometimes to folks that are still trying to find their way. And one of the questions I will ask, what advice do you have for those who have been working, they have been professionals, and they're looking to transition, or they may be looking to go up in some instances? What advice would you provide to them as they go about doing this work? Because I know for them, sometimes it's like, I've been doing the work, I've done this, I've done that, but how do I best go about transitioning or leveling up in the work that I'm doing?
One piece of that is being honest with yourself, right? Being honest about, am I in a position or at a company that has growth for you, right? Because again, a lot of times we will stay in a position waiting for our manager to say, hey, Rashele, I have a new role for you, right? An advancement, right? Versus I could have been sitting there and I see that there's no chance for me to grow, right? So do I wait, or do I say, let me look elsewhere, right? So that's why I said in the beginning that a part of this is have your mentors, have your sponsorship, right? So that you have somebody who's there who may hear about opportunities that you may not know, but you also have to be mindful too of, am I somewhere where I'm going to get that advancement, those opportunities? And if not, then you'll have to look outside, right?
Mhm.
For what it is that you want. Whatever it is that you want, you have to go out and get it. Like, you can get it, right? The opportunities are there for you. It's just that it may take a little longer to find it, right? But don't give up, and don't wait for other people, right?
Mhm.
Do it on your time, when you're ready. And if
Mhm.
someone's not ready for you at that moment, right?
Mhm.
Shame on them, right? Sorry, they're lost, right? You're game to get what you want elsewhere. So that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's what I would tell people, right? Because again, we all been there. We've been in jobs for years, right? Expecting the next big thing to happen, and it
Mhm.
doesn't, when we could have, we missed the opportunity that was right
Right.
there because we were stuck over here.
Mhm. And I think to that notion as well too is, and you talked about this earlier, is taking that level of ownership in your career, even in you being mentored or being sponsored. And sometimes that definitely dials into how are you cultivating and developing your skills and your talents, and making yourself more marketable in the market, and having those conversations, making sure that you're stepping outside of your typical circles, to be able to meet and connect with folks that are doing similar work, in how you cultivate that reflection of honesty. And so many times I tell people is that, you have ones and then you have tens. And so where do you fall within that? And you may have a vision of your number, to a certain extent. You may say, hey, I'm Brandon. I know I'm a nine, but how do people identify me as? And so
Right.
what is the work that I have to do in terms of internalizing to be able to build up from that? And so in that work of transitioning, of looking for new opportunities, for promotion, is not always, to your point, the ideology of that I want it, but do the folks around me, centered around me, that can propel me, or folks that I meet, do they see that in me? Because have I been doing that work? Rashele, this has been an amazing conversation and dialogue, and I'm so sad that we had this technical glitch today. But is there anything that you want to leave with our audience on today?
So a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of hearing a phenomenal speaker who came to State Street to. I felt like he gave the Black professionals group and our Black leaders, like a, we call it a sermon, for an hour. And it was one thing that he said that resonated with me, and he said that he always goes where he's celebrated and not tolerated, right? And we all kind of sat back like, wow, because again, we sometimes get into this routine, right, of just the day to day. And everybody should be somewhere where they feel celebrated, that they want to be there, that they're happy. I know at HBCUs we are celebrated every day, right? So I want everybody to leave with, make sure that whatever you're doing, it makes you happy,
Mhm.
you're being celebrated
Mhm.
where you are, and not just tolerated, right? And if you're just there being, they're tolerating you, it's time for you to go somewhere where you're celebrated,
Mhm.
right? So I would leave with that. And Brandon, I would just like to say that State Street, we're honored to partner with you, and I am personally looking forward, to next week, to being able to see the students and sit on the panel. And again, I love what you're doing, and much continued success to your foundation.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, Rashele. We have had such an amazing dialogue and conversation today that will continue on next week, as you stated. At the summit, we will be at the College Football Hall of Fame, and also going to the Falcons game this upcoming Sunday. So we're excited. So we will be having the My HBCU Matters Summit in partnership with State Street and Invesco from November 5th through the 7th. And we also will be having our HBCU Matters Gala Awards. We'll be honoring supporting a number of really great folks throughout our events. And so again, my name is Brandon Graham, founder and CEO of the My HBCU Matters Company and the Our HBCU Matters Foundation, keeping the legacy alive. And so one last thing, Rashele, you got to say your My HBCU Matters and your school name.
My HBCU Matters, North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride.
Awesome. And my HBCU Matters, Clark Atlanta University and Tennessee State University. You all have a great day.